Alright, now that I've... Hold on. So I put that. Now that I've revisited the Paranormal Activity movies so I can get a proper ranking out, my ranking has changed. And yes, I am wearing the same shirt to keep in with the theme. Wearing the same shirt I wore in my original ranking, which half the video was about talking about Kappa for some reason, but here I am. All that time later, but a year later actually, because I reviewed the movies when I first started, but I forgot that I didn't do the ranking until a year later. But here we are. It's a new ranking. Yeah, it's changed somewhat, but we're gonna talk about all that. Okay, so this ranking has changed, and of course I have to add next of kin in there, so there's 7 this time. So number 7, bottom of the barrel, and it's weird to say this, but number 7 is the first Paranormal Activity. I put it in the middle of my ranking last time, and this time, wow, it really went down, because I was watching it, and I'm realizing nothing happens. What do we get? Oh, a door moved. Oh, up until like the very end of the film, nothing happens. When stuff really starts to, well, we get keys dropped, doors moving. When it really starts to happen is when with the Ouija board, but it catches on fire. Wow. And then stuff towards the end happens, and even the ending is kind of taken down by the fact that she's screaming for Mika because a strange Mexican guy is in her kitchen. It kind of takes away from the horror when you know that's what she's screaming about. So, I don't know. It's gone way down. Nothing really happens. Mika, I like Mika, but he's a little bit annoying in this, and it's just talking. Basically, it's hard to wrap my head around how a franchise started from this film. As much as I kind of praised it in the last one, that I thought it was a good start, it really doesn't do anything. But, yeah. Number 6, just one step up from that, is Paranormal Activity 2. I enjoyed this one a little bit more this time, and as a sequel to the first one, there is a little more going on, but basically it's pretty much the same. But I would watch this over the first one because there is a little bit more going on, and the house setting's different, and a lot more characters interact than just Katie and Mika and an occasional person coming in, So, yeah, it's fine. Number 5 is the Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension. This one really rubbed me the wrong way this time because it doesn't need to exist. Like, you have a sequel and you have to figure out a way for it to fit in. You have a completely different family. How do we connect that back to the other ones? Well, the daughter was born on the same day as Hunter, so they need her blood and his blood to bring Toby back to life. And that's the end game of this entire franchise, is to make Toby human. But it makes everything more complicated. It gives us more questions than there are answers, and it just doesn't work. By the way, it's a Christmas movie. I didn't mention that in my review, but yeah, it just doesn't work. But I do get enjoyment out of the characters. I like Ryan. I like Mike. I like some of the comedy back and forth. I like the idea of them actually finding footage that we've seen before and they're reacting to it. I like that. So it's up higher from that, but it's number 4, going down from my last one, is Paranormal Activity 4, which I think was at number 2 last time. But it's at number 4 this time because it went down because I still enjoy it. Everything from 5 up I can enjoy. But this time it really just didn't sit with me that well. It went in the middle of the road. But I just think that, again, it's not really necessary. Like, what are we going to do? with Hunter. Oh, let's put him with this new family and have him be called Wyatt. And then we have Kitty come back from. Why'd she lose him? How'd she lose him? That's not necessary. We don't need to know that. Yes, we kind of do. And was this always the plan? Or is there a mess up? Something happened? She lost him? We don't get answers to that. And that, I like Robbie. And I like the characters, which is why it's up higher. And I get a little more enjoyment out of these characters than I do Ghost Dimension. But it's kind of in the same way with Ghost Dimension where it doesn't really need to exist because you could have written a different story. Continuing. And like I said, it's kind of hard. I think maybe this franchise was held back by the fact that it's found footage, because every film has to be found footage now, and you can't really do direct sequels when you have to have some way to have the found footage. Like I said in my review for Ghost Dimension, you can't follow Katie after the events of 2 without kind of putting in a found footage thing. And how are you going to do that? Unless my idea of having the cops, following around with a camera would work. I just don't know. I don't know. Number 2 is Paranormal Activity Next to Kin. This is another one that's going to kind of... This one, it's a reboot. It's not really connected to the others unless you unless you kind of consider that the same cult that's in this one is connected to the Coven. The same kind of demonic essence type thing is what's going on. But I don't know. But it was kind of cool to have something different. Albeit a lot of the camera shots don't make sense because they're in places that you couldn't possibly have a person holding the camera. And it gets kind of convoluted when you think that this whole thing of her coming back was just like the guy that she met was in on it, and it was all about putting a demon inside her, and it's, I don't know, but I enjoyed it. Excuse me. I think it's enjoyable. I think it's one of the better installments. Stuff actually happens in this, although I still don't see the idea of the woman scraping other than a trailer shot. It doesn't really do anything, and nobody actually does anything after this. So, about it afterwards, so I don't know. Number 2 is Paranormal Activity 3, going way up from last time. It was second to last in my other one. So, yeah, this one shot up because I really enjoyed this one this time. I liked Dennis. I liked Julie. I liked Randy. Remember, be smart. Be like Randy. And I just like the idea of going back to the 80s and the creativity of having that camera that goes back and forth. Have some creative scares. It's good. And some of the scares did work. Like the first time I saw this, and when the babysitter's there and it kind of pans, you see something in distance, it goes to her, pans back, goes back to her, and it's there, and it's very scary. However, this does kind of start the convoluted retcon. Like the second one started it, but this one really kind of changed it because the ending of this screws up things. Like we see their mom get killed, but she's mentioned in the first film. And then they decide we're going to retcon that. We're going to do another kind of retcon thing, and it goes to mention and say, oh, we have this woman they're calling their mother. That doesn't solve anything. That just confuses people more. And I think this is a fun one to watch, and I do recommend it. Number 1, of course, is still the marked ones. The most enjoyable of the bunch, I think. And I like the characters. I like the atmosphere. I like the idea of how Jesse's got superpowers. Yes, as a spin-off, the Coven in this one doesn't make sense with the Coven that was already established. Even though we also have Allie coming back from the first 2, and it's everything she says is not everything that she found out in the second movie, I should say, not the first 2, second movie. Yeah, but it's fun to watch for me, and it's the 9 times out of 10 if I want to watch a Paranormal Activity movie, that's what I'm putting in. And I did have these sitting here, but I didn't even think of. They're supposed to signify when I got to the thing, but I didn't even think about it, so they just kind of sat here next to me. But yeah, there it is. My revisited ranking, so to speak, of the Paranormal Activity movies. So there you go. So what are your thoughts on the Paranormal Activity franchise? Let me get your rankings in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.